so therefore we have to be our own media and let our voices be heard. Welcome to the Liberty Live Stream Team Show with your hosts, Saria and Kenosha Fish.
Slowly taken away from us. You may have never heard of this peaceful revolution.
Welcome everyone! Hello! So tonight we're going to talk about Nebraska and just Campa, keep on going, that Nebraska was not the end of everything like the mainstream media would like you to believe. We left to go to Nebraska at Friday morning at like 4 o'clock in the morning, and it was about a 10-hour drive. We got there, we went to the hospitality suites that Friday night. The Liberty Caucus, let's see. Okay, we got a house. You tell them how they got the house. Well, we posted on the Daily Poll that we were coming up, and a delegate from Nebraska, just called us and said, or emailed us and said, I have a place for you all to stay, so how about you contact me? So we were able to stay at a nice little guest house on the lake, about 4 or 5 miles from the place where the hotel and the golf course. So we hung out there for a little bit since we got there early, and then headed over to the Republican Liberty Caucus. We got there early. Everybody recognized us, said hi. We walked into we had some phone troubles and internet troubles, so we were in the lobby of the hotel trying to figure this out, and John Tucker, one of the Republican Liberty Caucus organizers, one of the Liberty Caucus organizers met us there in the lobby and recognized us, so we were able to meet him right away, which was really nice. And then we headed down to room 320 where the Liberty Caucus was, and we walked in, and no one was really there yet except for a couple people because they were still setting up and we were like an hour or two early. And Laura Ebke, kind of one of the main leaders, you could say, in Nebraska with the Liberty Caucus, she was there and she said, "Oh, here's our live stream team from Oklahoma." So it was we were welcomed right away, and it was really neat. Yeah, they welcomed us with open arms up in Nebraska. It was very cool. They were all very glad that we came. So then there was a few others. I'm not sure how many other hospitality suites there were by the GOP. Probably 3 or 4 others. 5 or 6 now. And we walked around the hotel, and when everything was going on, the Republican Liberty Caucus hospitality suite was way bigger than any other one. So we overflowed 2 rooms and into the hallway, and then eventually out the back doors onto the lawn. And we're on the lawn. Ron Paul called in via Skype and talked to everybody. So that was a big highlight of the night. Yeah, we're told everything was going to kind of start at 7 and to be back, make sure we were there at 9 because there was something special going on. And so we just kind of waited around in the hallway, and the crowd slowly grew, and we, outgrew the 2 rooms that we were in, and we were in the hallway, and then finally they opened the outside doors so you could kind of flow into both of them. the hallway and outside. There were a lot of people there. Going to all the other hospitality suites, walking up and down the hall of the hotel made everything. The rest of the crew the rest of the GOP hospitality suites looked like nothing was going on because there are like probably 30 times more people at the Liberty Caucus suite. So that was really exciting. We did some live streaming on our iPod, and then we got the rest of the gear out and started setting that up. And as soon as we got the camera out with the laptop, we had people coming up to us left and right saying, "Oh wow, you guys are the Fish Sisters," or "Oh yeah, you're the live stream team," or "Oh yeah, you guys are those homeschool girls," or all these different things. It was really neat. So then we went outside, and Laura Epke addressed kind of, everyone and gave a little speech of what was going on. And then the campaign staff person from Ron Paul's campaign who was there got Dr. Paul in on the line, and he was able to speak for how long? Like 15 minutes, I think, or something like that. He talked and addressed the whole group that was there. I think there were around, how many people? 100? Yeah, there were around 100 people there. So it's kind of a recap of that, and then we went to, the next morning was the convention. So we'll play a video of our slideshow of our trip, and then we're going to talk about the convention. So it'll start here in just a minute. We had a now we can start.
Let's all say goodbye to the Federal Reserve. No more IRS breathing down our neck. And Congressman Paul says that there's a chance that we might bring our freedom back. No more UN, get us out of Iraq. No more NAFTA, no more GATT. If you wanna follow the Constitution, it's time to join the revolution. I don't know where we went wrong, but we've been on this road too long. There's a landslide on the way, coming down election day.
This is what we're up against. This is what we have to prevent. We can do it. All we have to do is very simply go back to the Constitution.
Now they can't ignore us anymore like they did before. The money's growing and the polls are showing more and more. They can lie and they can spin, but they can't miss our new Zeppelin. They can run, but they can't hide from a Ron Paul landslide. I don't know where we went wrong, but we've been on this road too long. There's a landslide on the way, coming down election day.
The real sad part is that on the stage with me, no individual is willing to change the policy, and they're locked in emotionally, and they're loyal to the president, they're loyal to the party. They think they're not loyal to our tradition, the Republican traditions. They're not loyal to the principles of our country. They're not loyal to morality, and they're not loyal to our Constitution. That's what we should be loyal to.
I'll never take an ID card. We can't let it go that far. Well, there's only one issue this time, but it's a question of all time. Let's all vote for a solution, the champion of the Constitution. I don't know where we went wrong, but we've been on this road too long. There's a landslide on the way, coming down Election Day. On Election Day.
And what we need is freedom. That is what we need. And along with freedom comes responsibility. There are a lot in Washington on both sides of the aisle that believe that the government should be the nanny state. The government was never meant to be our parents.
There's this short little slideshow just so you guys can kind of see what, went on with the trip. The team who went was Surya, myself, our other sister Ezra, and our brother Nariah. So that's the guy with the mohawk. I know it's kind of crazy, but that's beside the point. So Saturday morning, we woke up bright and early to get out to the convention because the Ron Paul supporters were all going to gather in the parking lot about 6:30 to be able to have breakfast and get in line nice and early so they could all get checked in, because they said that if you didn't get checked in early enough and things were full, they might not let you in. Yeah. The Ron Paul people also had everybody that got there in the parking lot, they were all given a special button with a ribbon. That way they could identify everybody, and everybody with that button was given one of those secret Ron Paul slates. If you didn't have the button, then you didn't get the slate. Yeah, that was a nice way for all of us to identify each other. It was just a little Republican elephant with a ribbon. It was pretty incognito. You wouldn't think anything of it, unless you absolutely knew that's what they were identifying the Ron Paul supporters. So did that. We waited in line for a little while because the Ron Paul folks, kind of filled the lineup pretty well. And then about 8:30, the convention was to convene, and so they started pretty much right on time, and it convened real quickly, no problems. They had several speakers, and then about 10 a.m. they did the credentials report. The credentials report, there was about 200-something delegates and 100-something alternates, I believe. So there's about over 300 credentialed people there, and then there was quite a few guests too. I don't remember the number. Yeah, there were a lot of. I think the total number of credentialed delegates was 362, if I remember right. There's that, and there's the first part of the convention looked like it might get a little bit interesting because there were two delegations which were challenged, so the credentials report was automatically challenged right away. There were two delegations. I don't know all the details. Hopefully a little bit later in the show we'll have John Tucker on from Nebraska, and he can kind of share more of the details of that. But the overall gist of it was there were two delegations from two counties that weren't properly elected. A total of there were 7 delegates in one and 8 delegates in the other. So John Tucker motioned to unseat the delegation and reseat it with a different delegation because the Ron Paul delegation had the Ron Paul people had held their own convention either at another location or parking lot. I don't know the specifics of it. And so they challenged that, and the chair let it be heard. Did they really want to let it be heard? No. From the way they acted, I don't think they really wanted to let it be heard, but they let it be heard. And the motion was they just did a voice vote, but they couldn't tell real well how the voice, who had what with the voice vote. And so they did a hand count, and that didn't really take that long. It was done real well. It was pretty obvious though from that vote that the Ron Paul supporters did not have the majority that day because they were about 5-1, I want to say 80 or 170 something. So they only did that motion on one and just took a hand count on one and didn't drop the motion to challenge the other delegation when they realized they didn't have the numbers to challenge the other one. There were a total of 2 counties that were challenged. It was, I believe, if I'm correct, I believe it was Douglas County and Gage County. Yeah, I'm not completely positive on that, but we should be able to find out for sure a little bit later from John Tucker, but that's what
Dodge County and Buffalo County.
Dodge County and Buffalo County. That's right. Thank you for to chat down below correcting us. So those 2 were challenged. Ultimately, the credentials was passed, and then they went on to the Rules Committee, approving the rules. And there's rule number 8, which actually we have here with us in the agenda. Rule number 8 said, conduct a convention business, points of information, clarification, privilege, and order, or any other points discussed in Robert's Rules of Order pertaining to any issue or topic that has been raised in a previous point of information, clarification, privilege, or order, or has been previously addressed by the chairman or parliamentarian of the convention, are not allowed and shall be ruled out of order. So there was a motion done to strike that rule and not let it be passed in the rules report because it's really kind of I can understand why they put it in there to make things go faster at a convention, but it's not really if someone doesn't hear a point of order or information that someone made earlier in the day, for them to not do it is not hear it is kind of silly. Yeah. So they did a voice vote on that, and again, it was too hard to tell, so they did a standing vote. Well, in between the rules and the credentials report, they added in seated alternates, wasn't it, that when they did it?
Yes.
They seated alternates in place of some delegates. So then they went to strike this rule, and it was 147 to 200, I believe.
Yeah.
Something like that. So they were about 50 votes short or so to be able to have the majority. So that it was failed to strike that rule. There were actually people going around with red and green signs that had a Romney bumper sticker on them, and we were told by a delegate that the red one meant it was something that was against Romney, and the green one meant it was something for Romney. So,
which wasn't really true, because when they were, for example, when they were challenging the delegates that had gotten illegally thrown out, those were just trying to follow rules, it wasn't against Romney or for Romney. But, that's the way they are. So
they held the same things up with rule number 8 that we just read too. So it was a little
interesting.
A little silly to hear him say it was for Romney or against Romney, when all it was trying to make sure things were done fairly for everyone,
I forgot to mention earlier that we said everybody that got the little button that the Ron Paul people had on got the secret slate. Somehow, one of the Romney folks got the secret slate because it was put on Twitter before any votes were done, and later that day we saw him with it in his hand, so something happened there. The secret slate got out to somebody who didn't have a button. So
yeah, the secret slate got out real early in the day. I had a picture of it because I was sitting with a Ron Paul person, but we didn't put that out anywhere, and we just happened to find that someone said it was from the Twitter handle Nebraska Politics, and I took a screenshot on my iPod, and it said, "This looks like the Ron Paul slate." How did I got a picture of it? We haven't, like you said, we happen to see the man who was running the Romney table with it out of his pocket. So, how he got it, I don't know. I told a few delegates later that day that happened, and they were pretty surprised. Yeah, the slate wasn't really secret, but it was one that wasn't passed out on all the chairs, the one we saw at least.
There were several slates on the chairs. A couple, I believe, were put out by the Liberty Caucus to try to, confuse everybody? I don't know. But there were like 3 slates sitting on each chair. So.
Yeah, if you're watching the chat, you can see the picture of the slate that was tweeted by the Nebraska Politics, if you want to see it. So there was that. And so then we did the rules. Mm-hmm. And then after the rules, they did, what did they do next?
Voted on the district delegates.
Voted on district delegates next. And that was, the way they did their voting was kind of inconvenient, it seemed. They voted, they all did paper ballots, and then it was given to voting, put in a ballot box and taken out and counted by ballot machines. And there was 2 people from each campaign. The chair actually admitted and said that they have 2 people from the Ron Paul campaign and 2 people from the Romney campaign to watch the counting. So that was nicer. They watched the counting, and it took a long while to.
For only having about 400 delegates, actually under 400 delegates there, that it took a really long time to count those votes when it should have taken faster. But
yeah, it was real slow as to how slow the counting was. I mean, there were only 3 delegates voted on per congressional district in the first vote, and it took a while. I don't remember the exact time, but it took a while, and so they had to do speeches in between that, and then they went on to the National Committee man and woman races. They had 2 candidates for each one, and then they also went on to the district or the at-large delegates. This was all done before lunch. The at-large delegates. So it released, again, it took a long time to count the district at-large delegates. And then they released the results of the at-large delegates right before lunch. So, he said how we were going to go to lunch, then he said the results of the at-large delegates and put it on the screen, probably less than a minute, and then we went to lunch. So there was no time to really absorb and see what had happened. For some of us, it was
no reaction time really. Or
yeah,
much. That's okay, I guess. Interesting.
Yeah. So we then went to lunch about 12:45, and there was a real nice lunch provided by the golf course that the convention was held at, and there were a lot of people who were pretty disappointed with how things had gone, which I can totally understand. How disappointed they were.
Oh yeah, at lunchtime everybody was the Ron Paul people were very deflated, seeming.
It's totally understandable.
Which I completely understand. They put a lot of work into it and tried hard, but they were just too short on people.
And when you only win 2 delegates out of 32, I believe the number is,
kind of a big bummer. But we tried to, tell them this is not the end of everything. We can still vote on alternates. Even if you lose the alternates, everything's not over with. So a couple of them were so disappointed they left and didn't vote on alternates, which was a bummer. We tried to tell them that, alternates do matter, but I can understand why they wanted to leave. So for the most part, everybody stayed and voted on alternates, though.
Which didn't make much of a difference in the outcome because, they won a couple of alternates, but that's when, they was as best as they could do,
It looks like John Tucker's here from the Republican Liberty Caucus, so when he's ready, he can come up.
Thanks for joining us, John.
I'm Ron Paul, and I'm discussing.
Hey.
Hey, John. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Kadosha Sarai. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Having a great hot day in Nebraska. How's it down there?
Really hot.
Pretty warm here, too.
All right. Well, you did a great job giving a list of the rundown of how things went on Saturday.
Good. I'm glad for that. Thank you.
And you had a great time in Nebraska?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did. We had a really good time. We felt really, really welcome, and it was really nice. We felt like we were kind of right at home.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I walked in the hotel lobby and I saw a bunch of people from the party that I knew before, and I looked over and see you four, and you're like, well, what's going on here? And it's like, yes, they're here.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Yeah, it was neat to be able to meet you right away because we kind of didn't know where to go or what to do.
Being in a room full of neocons is not always, very great.
I understand.
So, John Tucker, what exactly is your position with the Republican Liberty Caucus?
Well, the Republican Liberty Caucus is a U.S. statewide, countrywide organization. We have the Nebraska Liberty Caucus, which is like a subgroup of that parent group. So the Nebraska Liberty Caucus is a group of people that kind of formed right around before the 2008 convention in Nebraska. And we tried to put through people to national at that time also. And it's been a group that it can electioneer, it can campaign for people running for office, that sort of thing. My position is the vice chair of the Nebraska Liberty Caucus. And we are working on instituting now with a lot of grassroots support and a lot of people who want to come out and help out and try and do some Omaha area, central part of the state, maybe western part of the state, just to get people active in more of this liberty kind of thing that we do. So that's basically what the Nebraska Liberty Caucus, we use this opportunity to latch on to. We were all Ron Paul supporters anyway, no-brainer kind of thing, and we just kind of wanted to use our organization as a focal point to grab people into the Ron Paul movement so we can move them up through county, through state, and into national.
Right. Yeah, the Liberty Caucus, you guys did a great job of organizing everyone. It was very well organized, don't you think? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have to give major props to Laura Ebke. She's the chair of the Nebraska Liberty Caucus, and actually she is one of the Midwest coordinators for the Republican Liberty Caucus, and she does a great job of organization, really being the front person of the group. She herself is a doctor in political science and is well versed on how to deal with the press and that sort of thing too, which really helps us out.
Definitely, yeah. I was very impressed with Laura. We were very impressed with Laura Ebke as well, and she was really nice and real welcoming to us. Also, of course, everyone else was. That was really nice. There's what was your guys' how much did you guys, who all was involved with organizing the strategy for the convention? Was it mainly just the Liberty Caucus, or were there people, some people who weren't quite, some of the chairs or vice chairs in the Liberty Caucus?
Yeah, we kind of, Laura and I did a lot of work on just the organization for the state, but we had a lot of other people that helped us, backing up into the county process. And what some of the people who are watching that don't understand Nebraska politics, we go through a county level convention during the first week of June. And so you have to pass from the counties into the state convention. And before you can go to county, you have to sign up to go on a sheet of paper, signed up by March 1st at the election commissioner, and they will give you information about the county convention coming up. And once you basically sign the form, you swear yourself in, you are then officially elected to the county convention. And this happens throughout the state at all the counties in 93 counties in the state of Nebraska. So by March 1st, and what I always say, March 1st is voting day. If you're not there, got your form in, whatever, that's the day you vote, because our presidential primary election on May 15th this year, it doesn't mean anything. It is just simply a beauty contest. It doesn't mean anything for the actual votes, toward the candidate. So going back into March 1st and beforehand, we started organizing. Well, we really haven't stopped organizing since 2008. We've been doing lots of training, that sort of thing, for the last 4 years. We really hit it hard, I think, in probably last summer when most of us, well, I shouldn't say most, but a lot of us went across the river to Iowa to the straw poll. And we saw Ron Paul there and Rand Paul and all those people. And had a fantastic time there. And then we decided when we came back from there that we needed to help Iowa. So a lot of us crossed the border and did some phone calling, helped out with people, trying to get candidates and delegates, to the state convention in Iowa. And Iowa, of course, is a great success, as everybody knows. They've got a majority of voters or delegates for Ron Paul. So that was January. We really kicked it into high gear. Had meetings once about every 3 or 4 weeks. Every time we would book a place for people to come and get their forms signed and notarized for the election commissioner that was due on March 1st. Every time we would have one of those meetings, we would fill the place we were at. So the next meeting we'd get something bigger and we'd fill that place. And just the excitement and just everybody coming out was just awesome. Even on a night where I think it was in early February with a lot of snow coming down, people still came out, which was great to see. So we got through that May, or the March 1st deadline, sitting there waiting. It's a waiting game at that point because there's really not a whole lot you can do until the convention start, almost 2 months later. But I worked with Laura and with some key people that kind of stepped forward and were part of the organization for the last 3 or 4 years really, and gave them information about how we're going to do this county convention thing. I'm speaking really about Douglas County, but this was going on in other counties in Nebraska too, where we're telling specific people as leaders to this is your list of people you've got in your county. These are the people you're going to need to target. Make sure they come to the county convention. Make sure you know how to vote a slate. And in Douglas County, which is the largest county in Nebraska, we had at one meeting over 100 people to discuss how the county convention was going to go in Douglas County. And that was fantastic. Yeah, that was the first week of June, and actually June 1st or 2nd or whatever that was when we hit Sarpy County went first. It was one of the first counties in Nebraska for that week to go, and Sarpy County did a fantastic job, and that kind of served notice to the rest of the state, if they were paying attention, that the Ron Paul people were here. And they didn't really know that until that day. And so then the state party tried to turn out for the entire week, tried to turn out their people to go to their county conventions. Make sure that you get seated, make sure you do all these things. And you mentioned the Buffalo County, Dodge County, Gage County. Those were 3 meetings that were run improperly. We had majority in those. We probably didn't do the proper parliamentarian rules and Robert's rules and some of those to get our point across, although we were going to get railroaded anyway, as you saw on Saturday at the convention, where they weren't even going to consider the idea that they might have broken the law when they ran those meetings. But moving through that Sarpy County, the rest of the week, the Douglas County was on June 9th, that Saturday, and what a great convention it was. I know there's some people that were here at the Douglas County convention, and we had probably over 100 people there, and we owned the place. It was a majority of us there. We could tell because we did a vote, just like we did in the credentials. We did another credentials vote there, where we didn't want to seat the guests. We had people already signed up. We went through the process. We were there March 1st, and but the establishment had called, got some people out, 37 people to show up and try and get seated as delegates. And so we tried to block that. It was a crazy gymnasium and bleachers and that sort of thing. It was very hard to get a vote. It was a very close, almost a 50-50 vote. We went to a secret ballot. During a secret ballot, more people got sat, which is against the rules. And also when we did the final count, there were actually more ballots in total than there were actually people in the room. So there's obviously something happened with the secret ballot. When we took out the numbers of those extra ballots, we still won. We were still able to really lock that down, but we had to do another secret ballot. And I could sense that the crowd, the establishment was getting upset, and that wasn't the purpose. Laura Epke and somebody from the Paul campaign texted me and said, you know what, we think half the guests are ours. So I quickly made a change and said, you know what, I proposed the motion that says let's not seat the delegate, or let's go ahead and seat the guests and make them delegates. Let's not go through the secret ballot once again. This is wasting everybody's time. Let's just be open and let everybody in. And so we did that, and I got, I think we gained a lot of help and trust there, because the rest of the group, the party there, kind of saw, hey, maybe we can work with these people, and that was really good. I don't know, I could keep talking forever, but
That's great, because it shares information for everyone. I really appreciate it, because you guys, it's kind of, a lot of people have had questions about the strategy you guys use and what you guys have done, and being able to hear it from someone who has worked a long time with it is really good. So, just keep on sharing. It would kind of be good if you maybe could explain what exactly went wrong with those delegations that you guys challenged on Saturday.
Yeah. So the Buffalo County, from what I remember, and Laura was actually there for that one too. It sounded like the people that were running the convention were letting people into the convention itself, and basically I don't know how many people were there, 50 people, something like that. We had I think nearly a majority of the delegates, and we didn't know for sure, but we thought we did. And they allowed people to come in, and basically they just said, without a vote, that everybody here is a Republican and can vote, and actually not even just vote, but can also be delegates to the state convention. And I think we made the motion to end whatever it is, to go rump basically, and then decided to, okay, we're gonna end the meeting now and then reconvene it at a later date, which they did. Now the party states that, well, they didn't do it properly, meaning they didn't put it in a newspaper and that sort of thing. And I don't know the facts about that, but I'm pretty sure that we had gone through the motions and did all those kind of things. Mainly because I know Laura was on top of it and working with the campaign to make sure we did cover all the bases. And then that was Buffalo County, so we didn't, get a chance to successfully seat those people. Dodge County was even more blatant. That's actually Ron Paul campaign lawyers have actually sued Dodge County and the Nebraska GOP for the problems that they had at that convention. And we have video evidence. You can see it on YouTube. There's a lot of things out there that really we really controlled that, and I think we did that one by the book. We must have done it well enough that the lawyers were thinking, yeah, we can get something out of this. The state, Mark Folson, who is the chairman of the party, when he's running the convention, he is just simply that. He's running the convention. He doesn't have necessarily the say in all of these things. What he did is he created committees. One is the credential committee. So he said that the credential committee, it is up to them to decide how this is going to work, if they decide to seat those people or not. So those are the two counties. Gage County was another one, a little less coordinated, a little less understanding what happened. All three counties, all three people had sent in information to the state party about their conventions, and basically the credential committee ignored them. We did go into at the state convention on Saturday. That's when I brought up the motion and tried to get, originally we were thinking that maybe the party would just allow our people, instead of being replacing who's there, but just go ahead and have them seat as delegates. So there's eight delegates from Buffalo County, let's say. We have 8, so let's just seat 16 and then have it be open for everybody. Well, they decided that no, but by law you can't have more than 8, so we can't do that. So we said, okay. I quickly said, okay, I'll change my motion to replace, and that got shot down. And as soon as I saw the shot down, and we did the standing vote, that sort of thing, I knew that we weren't going to get the next one. People who didn't see the video weren't there. This was well coordinated by the Nebraska GOP, and they had people running around with signs that had Romney stickers on it with the red for no, green for yes, and they would hold those up for all their people to know what to vote. Now, we kind of did the same thing. We had a couple boards up so our people knew what to do, because very obvious that it was the opposite, not the Romney ones. But yeah, so they were well coordinated, you know, just like we were, and it was basically us against them at that point. And when we lost that, I knew for sure that there was no way that we were going to the second one. Let's throw out once again the hey, let's not have a problem here. We know, you know, just I took back my motion for the second one, Dodge County, and said, hey, you know, let's go have a great convention. We sat down and finished it out. So that was part of that. We also did, like you said, the rules issue, and once again they jumped up and did the whole, hey, this isn't going to happen, you know, vote no, and from Romney and all that kind of stuff, and we, you know, got railroaded. Now, it really felt at the time that, you know, we didn't have the vote, you know, from that perspective, but we were still hoping that from the delegate type of thing, maybe somebody would put our people down. But I think at that time, you know, it probably didn't set in right away, but I think I kind of figured out that, okay, it might not be that good a day. But
yeah.
I should say that luckily the Congressional District 2, which was Douglas County and Sarpy County, half of Sarpy County, we did have the majority there, and we were able to basically run that slate for the three delegates and alternates in that congressional district, which was very satisfying. So.
Yeah, it was nice to see District 2 there when they'd all stand up with like the block of Ron Paul supporters. It was pretty obvious we had the majority there for sure.
And one thing that, to talk about standing up, and I've already said this before to some people, but I was, one of our state senators, Charlie Jansen from Fremont, he got up and spoke, and he's a Desert Storm veteran, and he before he spoke, he said, hey, I like to have all the veterans here stand up. And in our district, I think all of them were Ron Paul people. I thought that was real impressive. I know it was lost on the neocon, but I was, yeah, this is cool.
Yeah, definitely. It was cool. That was neat.
So how many delegates did Ron Paul get out of Nebraska?
We have 2 delegates that both came out of the congressional district. We decided to throw a bone to one of the Republican leaders who has helped us through, not, you know, helping is kind of a loose term, but who's been very supportive of new blood, and he's kind of the grandfather of the party kind of thing, at least in the Omaha area. So it made sense to include him, because if you shut him out, boy, you really look bad. And so we brought him along. This was the first vote, of course. So again, even though I had kind of had a thought we wouldn't get the rest of them, but hey, you never know. So thinking, okay, maybe we can get the at-large votes. But yeah, we got the 2 out of that congressional district.
Yeah, I had several people wondering about Hal Dobb and why he was on there, so it was good to hear the explanation of, you know, why he was put on there.
Yeah, it's if we had 3 instead of 2, and nobody else, you know, so if we had 3, so Hal Dobb doesn't go, I'm not sure that's really all that much better than having 2 plus Hal Dobb. I think that's a lot better.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't have a ton anyway, so you know,
right.
Do what you can, make nice at the same time.
Yep.
Do you know if Ron Paul got any alternates?
We had 3 people on the alternate list that we voted for. One is a loose Ron Paul person who actually we made deals to get them. They helped us kind of thing in the county, and so we were paying them back. And then the 2 others. One is the actual Douglas County Republican Party chair, and then another one is actually a past Douglas County Republican Party chair. So we helped out what appears to be establishment people, but they are on our side. They're not necessarily Ron Paul people, but they are liberty and freedom type of people. They don't quite understand Ron Paul, but they're not really against anybody who is, which is good enough for me. So again, it's one of those, we're helping somebody that can help us later on.
Right. Yeah, I know you don't have to explain this if you don't want, but I know when we were sitting next to someone who wasn't able to be a delegate. He either missed the deadline or, you know, there wasn't room for him, but he was there to live stream, and I had a copy of the slate, and we noticed that there was the at-large, both alternates and delegates, weren't a complete list. And I heard a question from multiple delegates there as to why it wasn't a complete list. Was there any
complete list of alternates?
Yeah, complete list of alternates, and the delegate list had what? I think it was 18 of the 23 names.
Yeah. We had we put out a web form, basically a Google Doc for people to fill out so they could say their intentions on going to Tampa. It costs a lot of money to go to Tampa from Nebraska, and we put out this to make sure that we can get, understand who can go. And using that list, we discovered that there was not that many people that could actually make it to Tampa. And so the people that could go, we put in as delegates. And we really didn't have much else to do with the alternates. There are some of the, Laura was talking about this before. This is for Nebraskans. This is kind of that party thing to go to, the convention. And there are some husband and wife couples, boyfriend, girlfriend, that kind of thing that were on these lists. And some of those things you don't make them be both delegate and alternate. You just have them be one. And so that can also impact what the list might look like too. So.
Right. Yeah, that's totally understandable. I mean, there's no reason to vote in someone who's not going to be able to go.
Yeah.
Now, I know there was another, having stayed with the delegate there, I heard various things about how it was a little confusing with the way that slate was laid out, and how some people didn't get texts, and it was just a little confusing because the Romney slate was so perfectly organized, and then, the slate they were given was not completely, not as organized as the Romney slate as far as what it looked like. Do you think that had anything to do with any of the lack of votes? I mean,
I don't think so. Again, based upon the motion and the rule votes, we didn't have the majority anyway. But in part, as far as the slate not being secret, we made that decision Friday night. We kind of, a lot of what we did on Saturday was based upon how things looked in 2008. And in 2008, the party was unorganized. They had people. Part of it was too. Nebraska was very close to Minnesota. People were going to drive. The hotel price was about half of what the cost is going to be in Tampa. My guess is there probably were twice as many people who wanted to go to Minneapolis for the RNC up there than in Tampa. So they already have at that point this year half the number of people that want to go to Tampa, which now their numbers are a lot smaller. They can concentrate now. And even with that idea, though, you got people who could be delegate and alternates. You take their whatever 180 votes kind of thing, you cut it in half because they'll do an equal split between who's going to be a delegate and alternate. That helped us out, but they stuck to a slate that they had too. So we decided Friday night that they're going to slate it. They're going pretty hard at this, which we didn't know until late. And so it's like, why keep this a secret? For one thing, it's going to get out. It will, and there are some names on our list that are kind of party people, and, they're aware that they might be on a list. They were okay with it. It's like, okay, let's just put it out to everybody. And that way, if it gets out, it gets out. And who knows, maybe there's somebody out there that we don't know that wants to vote this. Go right ahead, So we just put it out there and see how it went.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. Now, there was, speaking of putting it out there, I saw there were 2 other slates put out, and they had at least some similar names. I don't remember if they had all the same names. One was called the Second Amendment one, and then the other one was the GOP Unity slate, I think it was. Did you guys put those out, or were they the same thing, or was it something different?
Maybe.
Okay, you don't have to answer.
Well, yeah, there's the pictures of them right now.
Yeah.
But this is strategy for everybody kind of thing. Now, they had put their slate on the ballot, and that's another discussion too. But so their slate was on the ballot, but in previous years, like I said, in 2008, there were a bunch of these sheets of paper flying around, and usually they were just simply white or colored pieces of paper with simple text on it. So we decided, let's dress these things up and make them look good. And I did hear a couple of people say, well, I really like the Second Amendment slate. This is cool, even though they knew they were going to vote for it. They were going to vote the other slate that they had. But in 2008, I think these would have really worked well. I mean, really well. But like I said, they were set for us in this year with their own slate.
Yeah, we did the same thing at our state convention, made our slate all nice and pretty so that it would appeal to them.
Yeah, I think you mentioned the unity and the Second Amendment. We had anti-abortion and close the border slate too.
We're good. Yeah, you got to try to cover all your bases and see if it does anything, because every vote counts.
Yep.
So, is there, do you have a question? Is there anything you would prefer that you guys had done differently?
I think the slate on the ballot may have been a couple things with that. The slate on the ballot, like the Romney folk did, would be nice. I don't think we quite understood the impact that could be, but also we had part of our strategy going in, again, is this ballot. When somebody's got to fill out the oval, and on that oval is your name, and next to your name is your presidential choice. We figured, and this worked for me back in 2008. I was a delegate to national in 2008. One of the two from Nebraska that went then too. I had put in uncommitted. There were other people that put down Ron Paul. I got elected, I think, partly because the people in 2008 didn't know who I was and didn't know, well, maybe he doesn't know. And so, how to do this. So uncommitted, fine, go ahead and I'll circle him in. In this year, though, we tried again, same strategy. That's everybody who can go to Tampa, at least thinks they can go. Let's put down uncommitted. Everybody who can't go for sure, put down Ron Paul and put your form in so you can be on the ballot. So the idea, thinking we might grab some of the establishment vote who might just be willing to vote for me, even though they wouldn't vote for somebody with Ron Paul next to their name, but maybe they would vote for somebody with uncommitted next to the name. So with the slate in mind on the ballot, I wonder if there wouldn't be a problem. And Laura may know more about this, but they offered us to have our names on the slate 3 days before the convention. Well, we had already submitted 5 days before the convention all of our people to be either Ron Paul or uncommitted. So my feeling is that by state law, we couldn't change our commitment. And so if we were to put Ron Paul names on the slate on the ballot, they would be voting for people who couldn't go to convention. So that may or may not have made a difference. We might have been actually able to work with the party and change that, but I don't know. And I think, again, getting back to you do what you know and how it worked, and you plan for that, and that's what we did. If 2012's convention was just like 2008, we'd have delegates and alternates there. Simple as that.
Right. Yeah, you got to do what you got. What you can do. It's hard to try to. You're doing it. So much of it is like guesswork and trying to figure out what the other side's move is going to be, and how people are going to react to it, and it definitely takes a lot of just guessing and hoping that this strategy is what's going to work best, and then when it comes down to it, you'll be like, wow, if we would have done this, maybe this would have been better, or less confusing, or
I think overall you guys did a fantastic job, especially for all the pressure you were under by everybody being the last convention.
Yeah, it was a blast. The convention process itself, I'm becoming a junkie of it. I just like the whole build-up and everything. The county was a lot of fun, and the state convention, the facility we were in was very tight. I like to walk around and move around in a convention. It was very small. It was hard to do that.
Yeah.
Do you feel that? I suppose one last question. Do you feel that counting the ballots by a machine had any negative sides?
None whatsoever. We're talking about technology that hasn't changed in forever. It's not Visual Basic or Java based or anything that can be inserted pretty easily. This is, like I said, I told people this before. This is Micro Focus COBOL or something like that. I'm an IT geek, okay? So I this kind of thing is right here. So it's like it's not. Plus, we had people that are watching. It's very easy to count the paper ballots themselves to see, okay, does this work out? And it kind of what the checks you're talking about, how long it took, that might be some of the things that they were doing is checking the paper ballots to make sure that it actually came through. So, anyway.
Yeah, I agree. How do you think you guys do over the next 2-4 years? How well do you think you will continue?
Awesome.
Awesome.
I think what you saw, I think you were outside. I didn't get a chance to go outside after the convention, but I think you were out there and talked to people, and I think you saw how they were saddened but yet upbeat, and a lot of things, the comments that I'm getting from people are, great job. We did really a good job. If you look at the 60-40 split plus maybe 5% voting with us, 55-45 split, we're about 20 to 30 votes different. So 20 to 30 votes different, or delegate difference, means that we can overcome this, 2 years from now and 4 years from now. We know how to do this. So it's just a matter of getting the work done.
Definitely. I heard, it was tripled from 4 years ago, the amount of people the Ron Paul supporters had.
What's that? I'm sorry.
I heard the numbers for you guys had tripled as far as how many Ron Paul supporters you had compared to 4 years ago. Yeah.
4 years ago, we had to work with some other people in the state to build coalitions, which worked out well. We knew this year, actually, when we heard about the slates and that sort of thing, we thought, done. It ain't going to work. But we were open to it. That's why we had the hospitality suite, and maybe somebody would mention this, talk to us, whatever. Didn't get any feel for that. It was pretty much this is how the convention's going to go. Very tight, very controlled from the party's perspective, which, if we were in charge, we probably would have done the same thing.
Right. Is there anything you would like to give as a message to anyone in Nebraska, or anyone who is watching Nebraska and became disappointed, thinking all hopes of anything are lost?
I would say coming out of what is going to come out of Nebraska is a strong liberty movement, and we're not going to go away. We're going to get larger. We are, if we remember about Ron Paul and what he's always said, that it's about the ideas, it's about liberty and freedom. It's not about the man. It's not about him. And I want everybody to understand that on August 31st, when Ron Paul is probably not going to be a candidate for anything, you are still identified as a Ron Paul person, but you are a liberty and freedom person. And continue that, and continue working with the people around you, the people that are in the organization, and they all have friends, they all know people. Grab them, bring them in, show them how this is done. You've gone through it at least once, maybe twice. Let's continue this movement, and who knows, maybe there'll be another candidate 4 years from now. Who knows if Romney wins or not. Might be another candidate 4 years from now. Let's make sure that we grab as many people we can, so that when that candidate comes out again, he's got a base already built here in Nebraska and in other states that can carry him on. So, by the way, I'm running for Metro Community College Board of Governors this November. That's what the Tucker for Metro is out there.
Good. Yeah, people have asked me, actually, and so I could ask if there are any Liberty candidates running for any positions in Nebraska.
We have a couple that we've endorsed, Bill Kittner in Lincoln area, and Erica Fish in the Omaha area for state legislature, and of course myself for Tucker for Metro, for Metropolitan Community College. So I'll get my plug. You can go to johntucker.com and figure it all out.
Good. Well, thank you. We appreciate it, John, and it's been very informative, and kind of helped us understand a few things anyways, because we knew some of the things that would happen because we were able to talk to a lot of people Friday night, but, it's kind of good to hear the background up behind it all.
Yeah, and you guys are just wonderful people, first and foremost, just friendly as all get out, and you did a great job of covering Nebraska. I can't say anything more. It's, I was just overwhelmed with the idea that somebody would come up here and film and Ustream the convention. Actually, I talked to a couple people in the party today, and I said, yeah, it was Ustream. We had 900 people watching it. They were blown away by that idea.
Yeah.
Yet another one of those things that says, wow, there's actually that many people who are willing to watch the Nebraska convention.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. We're coming. There's a lot of people out there who are interested in this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty neat. We were saying there's about twice as many people watching the convention as there were present.
That's true.
So thank you. We really appreciate all the support there when we got there, and we're very, very welcomed, and it was really nice.
All right. Well, and we will see. I will see you in Tampa then.
Yes, definitely, Lord willing. We will see you there.
Great.
Yep. Thank you for coming on, and thank you for welcoming us so much
Thank
again.
you.
Now we have another a short video we'll play that we recorded on our drive home. Just kind of a bit of a message that we wanted to give to encourage everyone to keep on fighting this fight. So we'll play that and then wrap things up. It's kind of there's a lot of disappointment with the loss in Nebraska from people because of thinking it was Ron Paul's last chance. I'm pretty optimistic still, and even though things may not look that bright for Tampa, we're pretty optimistic that things will go, hopefully maybe towards the liberty-minded side of things. So it's not over yet. It's definitely not over yet. So, we'll play this. We'll play a little message here and get everyone hopefully a little bit more pumped up to keep on fighting this fight. The Nebraska folks did a real good job of getting everyone real well organized, and so I trust everyone needs to keep on that path. Does anyone have any last question? If you have any last question, put it in the chat box, and we'll try to do it.
I hear so much disappointment from the Liberty Movement, so much disappointment in what happened in Nebraska, so much disappointment because of how the race for the Republican nominee is going. But you know what? Ron Paul is still in the race. He's still running for the Republican nomination. We cannot give up now. Ron Paul has fought for us for 30 years. That's 30 years he's fought for us. It's time that we stand up for him now and fight for him. It's time we signed up as delegates to pick the people's choice for president. We must follow through with that. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's our job as delegates for Ron Paul to nominate him in Tampa. Yeah, nominate him in Tampa. Yeah, I know people feel pretty defeated, but that's our job. If we all go there with that in mind, it can happen. So let's do it, okay? Let's finish this fight, and let's elect Ron Paul as president. You know why? Because this country needs someone like Ron Paul. We need someone like him because a vote for someone else just won't do. So don't give up now.
Now is not the time to give up. We lost Nebraska, but we have won way more other states. You want America to turn to Nazi Germany? Then that's fine. Go home and sit on your butt and watch TV. But no, you can't give up now. We're in this fight to save America, to bring back our Constitution. So, don't give up. Let's elect Ron Paul as the next president of the United States. We started this process for a man, and we're going to finish this fight for the future.
We started this fight for a man. Let's finish it for the future.
They think like
Thank you all for watching.
Like, this dude, what's up? Let's go smoke. You guys want to go get a drink?
But we're really not like that. We're informed Americans who are fighting for everyone's freedom. We want the Constitution restored. We want everyone's life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness secured. Join us in fighting this peaceful and civil revolution.
So there's just a little hopefully things to brighten your, encourage y'all with some stuff. So thank you all for watching. You can find us on YouTube at youtube.com/libertystreamteam or on our blog libertyliveblogteam.wordpress.com. And you can also find both of us on Facebook. The link should be put down in the chat there. You need to talk to us. So thank you for watching. See you next week. 9 o'clock Eastern time next week.